25 years in the business of advertising, marketing, brand communication. So how your journey has been and what are the changes and challenges been for you?
Oh, wow. It's a good question indeed. So the first thing, everybody I think knows that the change is the only constant, that old proverb that made new. So the biggest change in this communication world, I think, has been taken in the last few decades. That's the launch of internet. I would say it's not a change, it's a revolution, because like many industries, even in the communication space, it's a paradigm shift. The whole concept of communication has been changed in the last few decades because of the digitalization.
Right.
The relationship between the buyers and sellers, what was there in the 80s and 90s, has been completely changed in the last 2 decades because the proper introductions of the digitalization. Now, you in the changing scenario, you need to be more apt, more equipped, more technologically sophisticated, and be competitive in the market. Otherwise, the brand that you are nurturing currently, that will miss the bus in the changing scenario. And once you are not equipped enough to catch the bus, it will be very difficult to get back again. Definitely, I'll give you some classical example how the changes has taken space and how some of the brand has evolved during the change of time, and some of them have missed the bus. Well, one thing I believe that there are two kinds of brand, as you all know. There's obviously as a product marketing brand, the retail brand, and as the corporate brand. In my next few minutes conversation, I'll more focus on the corporate brand because that is my biggest forte, and I believe there are many brand players are available in the market, those who have done phenomenal job in the retail brand. In case of corporate brand, the whole concept in the same way it has been evolved in the digital versions. Now, in the corporate brand, your stakeholders are much more aware about you because of the digital platforms. Right. Therefore, your responsibility to communicate as a communication specialist are much more serious, because earlier what used to happen, they has to depend on a couple of traditional media to know about you. Now, information is available 360. So they get to know much more about you, and you have by default you are being transparent nowadays, whether you want or don't want. So your brand strategy has to be designed accordingly, so that it should not address only to the customers or one or two stakeholders. It has to be 360 degree, right? Now, when it is I'm talking about 360 degree, it comes a lot of other stakeholders which normally we do not interact too much. For example, your investors. For example, the community where you are setting up your plant. For example, the bankers and financials. For example, your analysts. These people also now are frequently talking to their respective media about your organizations. So you need to address, of course, your vendors, supplier, customers, all are there. And the largest audience, you should not forget, that is your employees. So you need to customize your communication in a 360-degree manner so that you can attend all these particular stakeholders in a right kind of communication.
Responsibility to communicate well and to align every stakeholders in the same line Correct. Of communication here. Right. So, yeah, and well mentioned here, Mr. Bibek, as all your communications are documented in the history of, internet. So it's equally more responsible thing. You really have to think 1,000 times before putting any communication outside, right? So,
there is one more point which I need to address. Now everybody, like you and me, everyone is a communicator, can be your stakeholder. For example, what has happened earlier, if you go back to 10-15 years back, if any accident takes place in the plant, if there is any fatalities happen in the locations, maybe the television camera cannot reach there, maybe there is no media person. But here today, everybody having a smartphone, so they can capture the views and immediately upload to the any social media platform. So within a few seconds, your stakeholder can create some noise,
Right.
which you do not address in an equal, turnaround time. Then it goes against your brand. That's what I'm going to mention.
That's right.
Be equipped enough, and they should be fast enough. Your turnaround time has to be 100%. Proficiencies to be counted to counter this kind of, activity.
So